What if I told you there's a fire sale happening right now, where nearly new cars are being sold for a fraction of their original price? It's not a deal, it's a warning. Hertz, once the king of car rentals, is facing a financial collapse. And their solution? Flood the market with unbelievably cheap cars. Thousands of barely used vehicles are now on the chopping block, and you could be the one to snatch them up, if you know what to watch out for. But here's the catch. This isn't just about getting a cheap ride. This is the beginning of something much bigger, a crisis in the auto industry that could change how you buy, rent, and even own a car forever. Hertz is just the first domino to fall. Other companies are already struggling to keep up, and soon they'll be forced to sell off their fleets too. But not all bargains are created equal. How do you spot the opportunities? And how do you avoid the hidden traps that could cost you big? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's going on and how to take advantage of this massive shakeup in the auto world. If this sounds like something you need to know, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more updates. How Hertz built an empire and lost it all. Hertz wasn't just a car rental company. It was the backbone of global travel for years. When you thought of renting a car, you thought of Hertz. They were everywhere, from airports to city centers, and their brand was synonymous with dependability. For millions of travelers, Hertz was the go-to name for convenience and reliability. At its peak, Hertz wasn't just a market player. It was a force. Their fleet was vast, their locations spread across the globe, and their reputation made them the top choice for anyone needing a rental. Business trips, vacations, they had you covered. But how does a company that seemed so untouchable fall apart? The cracks started to appear as consumer habits shifted. The rise of ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft started pulling away customers who no longer needed a rental to get from place to place. On top of that, new car ownership models, such as leasing, were gaining popularity, putting more pressure on Hertz's traditional rental business. Instead of embracing these changes, Hertz clung to outdated strategies that failed to meet the evolving needs of their customers. Then came the pandemic. The world came to a halt, and with it, Hertz's business. Travel bans, lockdowns, and the steep drop in tourism pushed the company into a financial nightmare. The revenue that had once flowed effortlessly through their doors vanished almost overnight, and Hertz was left in a fragile state. Unable to stay afloat, Hertz filed for bankruptcy, writing off billions in debt. But even after that heavy blow, they tried to fight their way back. The company made a desperate attempt to revive itself, making high-risk financial decisions that only dug them deeper into trouble. The real disaster? It wasn't just the bankruptcy. It was everything that followed, the decisions made in the aftermath of their collapse that would seal their fate for good. The billion-dollar mistakes that sealed Hertz's fate. One of the first mistakes Hertz made was their overdependence on airports. For decades, airports were their golden ticket. Millions of travelers arriving with a clear need for a rental car. It made perfect sense for Hertz to build so many of their locations around these high-traffic areas. But the landscape started to change, and Hertz didn't adapt. Ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft started to take away customers, making it less necessary for travelers to rent cars. Despite this shift, Hertz stuck to their old ways, failing to recognize the impact it would have on their business. The pandemic only made things worse. Travel restrictions meant that airports, once bustling with renters, were now empty. Hertz found itself stuck with a business model that no longer made sense in a world of travel restrictions and fear. As their revenue dwindled, the company made poor financial decisions in a scramble to survive. More debt piled up, and yet they couldn't change fast enough. Then came their disastrous foray into electric vehicles. It was meant to be a bold move, a way to modernize their fleet and attract the growing number of eco-conscious customers. They invested heavily in electric vehicles, including high-end models like Tesla's, aiming to position themselves as leaders in sustainability. But the execution was all wrong. The electric vehicles didn't come with the infrastructure needed to make them truly viable. Charging stations were sparse, and the maintenance costs, especially for high-end electric cars, were higher than Hertz had anticipated. What should have been a forward-thinking investment quickly turned into a nightmare, draining resources and adding to the financial strain. By the time Hertz realized its mistake, it was already too late. The electric vehicle fleet wasn't the future they hoped for, it was a financial burden. Customers weren't eager to rent them, and the company was left holding on to a depreciating fleet that added no value to their bottom line. In the end, Hertz's downfall wasn't just the result of one bad decision or even one bad year. It was a series of missteps, from their over-reliance on airport rentals to their failure to pivot in the face of new market trends. Every wrong turn compounded the next, and the company never found a way to recover. What Hertz did next was an attempt at a comeback, but ultimately it only dug them deeper into crisis. The company's failure to evolve and adjust to a changing world turned a once mighty empire into a cautionary tale for the entire auto industry. It's not just cars being sold. Hertz's desperate move to stay afloat has turned into one of the largest liquidation efforts the car rental industry has ever seen. We all know about the cars, thousands of them, sold off at prices you wouldn't believe. But what most people don't realize is that the liquidation goes far beyond just vehicles. Hertz is unloading everything it can: office spaces, corporate equipment, technology systems, even business licenses. The company is stripping itself down to the bare bones in an attempt to raise cash and avoid total collapse. So, alongside bargain-priced cars, there are also deals on commercial assets, office furniture, and business contracts. Smart buyers are already swooping in, picking up these assets for a fraction of what they were originally worth. But the biggest draw? The cars. Thousands of vehicles, including some luxury models, are being sold off at massive discounts. Whether you're after a basic sedan, a sleek SUV, or even an electric car, this fire sale is offering opportunities we haven't seen in years. But before you grab the first car you see, there's something important you need to know. Hertz's Fire Sale: what you need to know. Before buying with Hertz unloading its fleet, thousands of vehicles are hitting the market at significantly lower prices. They're available through direct sales, partnerships with dealerships, and even auctions. While the deals seem tempting, it's crucial to approach them with caution. Buying without knowing what you're getting could lead to unexpected costs down the road. Hertz cars are generally well maintained, thanks to the strict servicing schedules rental companies follow. However, they've been driven by many different people, each with their own driving style. This means they often show more wear and tear than a typical car. Before jumping in, it's important to check the vehicle's history. Make sure to review accident reports, any previous repairs, and maintenance logs. Some cars may have small damages that aren't immediately noticeable, but could cause issues later. Mileage is another key factor. Rental cars tend to accumulate a lot of miles quickly, which can affect the car's long-term reliability and resale value. While the discounts are appealing, it's worth considering that you may need to invest in more repairs than you expect. It's also important to understand the difference between certified pre-owned vehicles and those sold at auction. Some Hertz cars are certified pre-owned, which means they've undergone a thorough inspection and come with a warranty. Others are sold at auction with no guarantees, leaving the buyer responsible for any issues that arise. If you're eyeing electric vehicles, take extra care. For models like Tesla's, you'll want to check the battery health, charging capacity, and potential future repair costs. Some electric vehicles may have a reduced driving range or require expensive battery replacements in the future. While many have snagged luxury cars, including high-end electric models, for less than half of their original price, not all of these deals are as good as they seem. Some vehicles that appear to be steals might have hidden mechanical issues that will cost you later. If you're willing to do the research and act quickly, Hertz's liquidation could be a rare opportunity to score a quality vehicle at a fraction of its normal price. But you'll need to move fast. Once these cars are gone, they're gone for good. So, if you're considering jumping into this market, now might be the time to grab that deal before it disappears. The risks of buying a used rental car. What you need to know. Buying a used rental car might seem like a smart way to get a good deal, but there are hidden risks that many buyers overlook. Rental cars, like those from Hertz, are driven by countless different people, each with their own driving habits. This means the wear and tear on the car can happen much faster than you might. Because rental cars are used so frequently, they often rack up high mileage. While high mileage isn't always a deal breaker, it can put extra strain on important parts like the engine, transmission, and suspension. Some of Hertz's cars are well kept, but others may only be serviced enough to meet the minimum requirements. This means there could be underlying issues that aren't immediately obvious, but might lead to costly repairs down the road. The truth is, some Hertz vehicles can be a great bargain, while others might end up being a financial headache. To avoid this, it's essential to check the car's history, maintenance records, and overall condition before buying. A thorough inspection, including checking for signs of wear, accident history, and getting a trusted mechanic's opinion, can save you from unexpected repair costs later on. And if you think regular rental cars come with their own set of risks, the situation is even more complicated with Hertz's electric vehicles. Hertz's Tesla trouble. Hertz made waves by heavily investing in electric vehicles, especially Teslas, aiming to modernize its fleet and attract eco-conscious renters. What seemed like a forward-thinking move quickly turned into a financial nightmare. Customers renting Teslas from Hertz encountered unexpected issues. The biggest problem? Charging infrastructure. Unlike traditional fuel stations, electric vehicle charging stations were still scarce and not always conveniently located, causing frustration for renters unfamiliar with EVs. On top of that, Tesla repairs turned out to be more expensive and took longer than Hertz expected. With limited service centers and spare parts, keeping the cars in top shape became a costly challenge. Things got even worse when Tesla lowered the prices on new models, which caused Hertz's Teslas to lose value fast. What was once a shiny, premium asset quickly became a major liability. Now Hertz is selling off its Teslas at shockingly low prices. But is it worth it? The answer depends on whether you're ready to deal with the hidden costs of owning a used electric car. The hidden costs of buying a used Tesla from Hertz. A used Tesla from Hertz might look like a steal, especially with such a steep discount. But before jumping in, you need to understand the unique challenges that come with owning a used electric vehicle. One of the most important factors is the health of the battery. Unlike traditional gas-powered cars, electric vehicles rely heavily on their battery, which loses capacity over time. Hertz's Teslas have likely been driven hard, meaning the battery's performance could be much lower than when it was new. For example, a Tesla that originally had a range of 300 miles might only be able to go 200 miles or less on a single charge. Replacing an electric vehicle's battery can be expensive, sometimes costing tens of thousands of dollars, which could quickly cancel out any savings you thought you were getting with that bargain price. Electric vehicles also tend to have higher repair costs than regular cars. Specialized parts, fewer repair shops, and the advanced technology make even small fixes more expensive. Insurance premiums can also be higher for electric vehicles, as insurers often see them as riskier to repair or replace. While a used Tesla from Hertz might look like an amazing deal, it's crucial to consider the long-term costs before making the purchase. For those who do their homework and are prepared for the ongoing expenses, there are some real deals to be had. But for others, that discounted Tesla could end up being more trouble and expense than it's worth. How to get the best deals at Hertz. With thousands of cars hitting the market, Hertz's sales and auctions present an incredible chance to grab a vehicle at a fraction of its original price. But not every deal is as good as it seems, so it's important to approach this opportunity with care. One of the smartest things you can do is research the car's history. Many of the vehicles Hertz is selling come with detailed service records, which show how well they've been maintained. Focus on cars that have clear, positive histories and steer clear of those with a history of repeated issues or unclear records. It's also important to understand how the Hertz auctions work. Bidding wars can drive prices up quickly, so it's easy to get carried away and overpay. To avoid this, set a firm budget before you start bidding and be sure you know the market value of the car. This will help you avoid making expensive mistakes. Hertz also sells some cars directly through dealerships, which can be a good alternative. These cars may come with warranties or certifications, which could offer extra protection and peace of mind for buyers who prefer a safer bet. Comparing prices between auction vehicles and dealership cars is a smart way to figure out which route gives you the best value. For those who do their homework, this liquidation is a rare opportunity to score a quality car at a price that's hard to beat. But keep in mind, these deals won't last forever. As more people start to catch on, the inventory will shrink and prices could start to rise. If you're considering jumping in, now is the time to act before the best deals are gone. The decline of the rental car industry. The rental car industry, once a major part of travel and business, is now facing a serious crisis. Hertz's troubles aren't just their own. They reflect a much bigger issue that's affecting rental car companies everywhere. The industry has struggled to adapt to changes in consumer behavior, new technology, and economic challenges. One of the biggest threats to the traditional rental model has come from ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft. Instead of renting a car for a few days, many travelers now turn to these services for quick, affordable, and convenient rides. On top of that, car subscription services have emerged as a popular alternative. These allow customers to pay a monthly fee for access to different vehicles without the hassle of long-term ownership or daily rental fees. Companies like Avis and Enterprise are trying to adapt by offering their own ride-sharing options or flexible leasing programs aimed at younger customers who no longer see car ownership as essential. But these efforts may not be enough to turn things around. As the traditional rental industry struggles to evolve, new competitors are ready to take its place. And what's happening with rental car companies is just the beginning. A much larger transformation is underway in the entire auto industry. The auto industry is facing a crisis. Here's why. While the rental car industry grapples with its own challenges, the broader automotive industry is on the brink of its own crisis. For years, car manufacturers have been increasing production to meet a growing demand. But now, they're producing more cars than people are willing to buy, creating an imbalance that could have serious repercussions. One of the main reasons for this shift is the rising cost of new vehicles. Prices have skyrocketed, making them unaffordable for many potential buyers. To make things worse, higher interest rates on auto loans are making it even harder for people to make big-ticket purchases. As a result, car sales have slowed to a crawl, and dealerships are struggling to clear their inventories. In response, manufacturers are being forced to offer massive discounts to entice buyers. This crisis is impacting more than just car dealerships. Automakers, suppliers, and financial institutions that provide car loans are all feeling the heat. If the slowdown continues, it could lead to job losses, plant closures, and even a broader economic downturn. Hertz's financial troubles are a clear warning of what's to come, how this crisis will impact you, even if you aren't buying a Hertz car. Even if you're not in the market for a rental, the economic shifts in the auto and rental industries will impact everyone. One of the most noticeable effects will be felt in the used car market. With rental companies like Hertz selling off their fleets, an influx of vehicles will hit the market at much lower prices. This surge in supply will push down the prices of used cars across the board, creating an opportunity for those looking to buy. However, for those planning to finance a vehicle, rising interest rates are making auto loans more expensive. Banks are tightening their lending criteria, so it's becoming more difficult to secure favorable loan terms. Even if car prices drop, the overall cost of ownership could still be high due to these rising financing costs. Another major shift could be the decline of traditional car ownership. As rental companies struggle and automakers adjust to the changing landscape, alternatives like subscription-based services, shared ownership, and long-term leasing could become more popular. This change could reshape how people think about owning cars in the future. For those who understand these trends, there's a chance to make smarter decisions that could pay off in the long run. The time to act is now, before these shifts have a bigger impact. The final warning: Hertz's collapse and the ongoing struggles within the rental and automotive industries aren't just newsworthy events. They are signs of a much larger economic shift that could completely change how people purchase, rent, and use vehicles in the future. Right now, the market is offering a unique window of opportunity for consumers and investors who are paying attention. For those in the market to buy, this could very well be the ideal time to purchase. With a flood of rental cars entering the market, used car prices are expected to drop, making it possible to snag significant discounts. However, it's important to stay cautious. Proper research is key to avoid potential pitfalls, such as hidden mechanical issues or overpriced financing that can quickly turn a bargain into a financial burden. Investors, too, can benefit from this shift. The evolving landscape of mobility services, such as ride-sharing, car subscriptions, and digital-first rental models, presents exciting new opportunities. Companies that are quick to adapt to new consumer needs are likely to thrive in the years to come. Understanding these shifts early could give investors a significant edge. Hertz's Fire sale is just one chapter in a larger, ongoing transformation within the rental and auto industries. Those who recognize these changes ahead of the curve will be best positioned to reap the rewards. Who's next? The broader impact. While Hertz is making headlines with its massive liquidation, it's not the only player offloading vehicles. Across the industry, other rental agencies, corporate fleets, and even car manufacturers are following suit, rapidly reducing their inventories. This is a response to shifting market dynamics and broader economic uncertainty, forcing many companies to scale back their operations and cut costs by downsizing their fleets. Rental car companies in particular are facing immense pressure. Hertz's competitors, including Enterprise and Avis, are navigating similar challenges. As travel patterns evolve and ride-sharing services decrease the demand for traditional car rentals, these companies may soon have no choice but to follow in Hertz's footsteps and reduce their fleets even further. The result? Even more used cars flooding the market, driving prices lower and creating even more opportunities for buyers. Beyond rental agencies, other fleet operators, like Uber and Lyft, are also rethinking their vehicle investments. Initially, these companies expanded their own vehicle leasing programs to supply cars to drivers who didn't own one. However, with rising costs and fluctuating demand, they are now beginning to offload their fleet vehicles, adding to the growing surplus of used cars on the market. The auto industry itself isn't untouched by this trend either. Car manufacturers are grappling with overproduction, which is forcing them to offer steep discounts or sell directly to fleet buyers at reduced prices. This has led to an influx of vehicles in the resale market, which presents both opportunities for buyers and challenges for those navigating the shifting landscape. What's clear is that these changes in the auto industry are part of a much bigger transformation in how people view car ownership and mobility in general. Is buying a car still worth it? For years, owning a car was a symbol of freedom and convenience. But with rapid changes in technology and shifting economic realities, more and more people are questioning whether buying a car is the best option anymore. Alternative options like car subscriptions and flexible leasing are gaining traction, offering people access to vehicles without the long-term commitment. Car subscription services let users pay a monthly fee for a car, covering everything from insurance to maintenance and roadside assistance. This model is especially appealing for city dwellers who don't need a car every day but still want one when necessary. Companies like Tesla and Rivian are already exploring subscription-based models, testing whether consumers prefer the option to access cars without owning them. Traditional leasing is also undergoing change. Car manufacturers are offering shorter-term leases with lower upfront costs, catering to those who want to drive a new car without the burden of long-term ownership. This approach is particularly popular with younger generations who value flexibility and no longer see owning a car as essential. This shift in how people use vehicles raises concerns for traditional car dealerships and private sellers. If more people choose flexible car access over buying, demand for outright purchases could start to decline. While this change may not happen instantly, the growing popularity of alternatives like subscriptions signals that the traditional way of buying cars might soon face challenges. But the changes in how people use cars aren't just isolated to the automotive world. The downfall of Hertz is a key part of a broader economic shift affecting many industries. The economic ripple effect. Hertz's asset liquidation isn't just about cars, it's part of a bigger economic trend shaking up several industries. The rise in corporate bankruptcies and financial restructuring is leading to mass liquidations across industries like real estate, technology, and transportation. In real estate, companies that are struggling financially are selling off office buildings, warehouses, and commercial spaces. The rise of remote work has reduced demand for traditional office spaces, leaving many properties vacant and causing commercial real estate prices to fall. The tech industry is feeling the impact too. As companies downsize and streamline, they're selling off equipment, software, and even entire data centers. These sales provide opportunities for businesses looking to acquire assets at a fraction of their original value, but also underline the financial stress many sectors are facing. Transportation and logistics aren't immune either. With fluctuating fuel prices, supply chain disruptions, and changing consumer behavior, many fleet operators are reevaluating their vehicle needs. As a result, large-scale liquidations of trucks, delivery vans, and heavy machinery are becoming more common, creating both opportunities and challenges in the used market. For investors and businesses, understanding these shifts is critical. Recognizing undervalued assets and anticipating market changes can provide a competitive edge. Those who can spot these trends early are in the best position to seize emerging opportunities. As for Hertz's future, it remains uncertain, but the outcome will impact the entire industry. For car buyers, renters, and investors, the next 5 years will bring significant changes. The traditional ways of owning, renting, and using cars are evolving, and staying ahead of these shifts could be the key to success. Would you still buy a car in these uncertain times? Let's talk about it in the comments.